Good evening and welcome to Friday night VFL football, which tonight comes live to you from the Sydney Cricket Ground, the top of the table clash to start round 6 of VFL football between the Sydney Swans and Carlton. Carlton won the toss, but the Swans kicked 2 goals in the first 4 minutes. That was answered by the Dominator Johnson for the Blues, but then Paul Morwood soon got another one for the Swans. Let's find out the state of play in the first term. We're at the 20-minute mark at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Your commentators are Tim Lane, Doug Haywood and Kevin Bartlett.
Good evening from the Sydney Cricket Ground, where the match got underway about 10 minutes late. The first quarter's been in progress for 20 minutes, and as they did in last year's qualifying final, the Swans have jumped Carlton, and they've just kicked their 6th goal. Stevie Wright off the ground getting his 2nd, and the Sydney Swans leading Carlton by 20 points just beyond the 20-minute mark of the first term. Tony Morwood has kicked 2, Wright has kicked 2, singles to Mitchell and Potter. And for Carlton, single goals to Silvani and Johnston. And the Sydney Swans 6 goals straight. They haven't been able to miss in the first 20 minutes of this match. Carlton left in their wake at the moment, 2-4-16 in the opening match of round 6. And Kevin Bartlett, certainly the match of round 6, it would seem.
Well, it's been a magnificent opening by the Sydney Swans to jump Carlton. 6 goals in 16 minutes. They're getting a lot of drive from Williams in the centre. Morwood is having the best development on that half-forward line with 2 quick goals, and Wright and Mitchell are very, very good around the packs. Motley's doing well for Carlton on that half-back line. Bradley, even though lowering his colours to Williams, is a good contributor for Carlton, and Dorotich at centre half-back also doing well.
Blues in attack now. Umpires Howe and Clayton officiating. Peter Howe bounces the ball at centre half-forward for Carlton. Ironmonger the big fist. Jared Healy it is coming away with the ball for the Swans. Puts them into attack in the Kappa direction. Hasn't had a kick yet, but he might get one here. Gives it to Wright for his 3rd. Big swinger. And still they can't miss. Yes, they can. That was just offline. My word, it was close. And the Swans by 21 points. And Doug Haywood, they're looking good.
They're looking wonderful. Tony Morwood's already got his 2nd opponent in the person of Dean onto him now. And Stephen Wright's been a dominator up there. Here's Justin Madden. The first time he's got away from Ironmonger, who's played very well. Dean now balks and gets a long one to Bradley. Bradley's on Williams, down towards centre half forward, and a fine mark at centre half forward by Satori. Satori on the Swans captain Carroll. And Carroll is standing right on the 50-metre mark. There's Thomas Hafey, the man of the worried look. I guess all coaches look worried, but Tom does it better than most. Satori kicks it long, right down where Ironmonger's in front. Up he goes, and Kernahan got long arms to it. Silvani's been their best forward, fights for it. Down he goes and then struggles again to it. Ball is held to him as his Swans opponent lies on him at that stage, and there'll be yet another bounce.
Blues deep in attack and needing a goal. Down 6 goals to 2. The margin 21 points. And the Swans getting another one of those jet-propelled starts on their home ground. They really are formidable here and very dangerous always in the first quarter. Another ball up and another clash between the big men. John Ironmonger matching it well so far with Justin Madden. And this time it's Kernahan deep in Carlton's attacking zone. Rucking, Bradley, oh, good snap. That's a great goal. And Carlton get their 3rd at the 23-minute mark. And the margin reduced to a slightly more respectable 15 points.
Well, Craig Bradley last year in the qualifying final ran all over the ground trying to run the steam out of Diesel Williams, and tonight he's trying to do that. Williams is playing very well, but that quick snap shows the brilliance of Bradley. He's very, very quick to get the ball to boot, and that was a magnificent goal.
Fascinating battle, because they've each got to watch. You've really got to be very aware of each other. Normally, you'd never dare let Williams have someone on him who wasn't shoulder to shoulder, but Bradley's just as destructive when he gets running. Well played, Dorotich. Alvin kicks and it's nicely smothered. The chance now for Mitchell. And lots of trouble. Downfield with a long one. It was Murphy, and a lovely leap by Kappa. Claims it, not allowed. Play on, says the umpire, and they dive all over the blonde man.
I think he might have paid it.
I think he has, and I think he's paid 15 metres as well.
There it is there, and he was definitely in possession.
Yes,
took it
no
beautifully
doubt.
on second bite. He was the only player there with 2 hands on it all the way. Well played, Kappa. And he's been a wonderful focal point, despite the fact that this is his first kick. They're just so hyper-conscious about Warwick Kappa, who comes in now very, very close to goal. Doesn't miss many of these. He hooked it a bit and he missed it. Well, that was a gallant effort wasted, Kev.
Well, it was a bad miss. Kappa, his kicking has improved. Craig Davis has been giving him specialised goal-kicking practice now for the last 2 seasons, and I'm certain he'd be very disappointed to see him miss from only 15 metres out.
And 30-odd thousand Swans supporters might be too, assuming most of them are barracking for the Swans. An enormous crowd at the SCG. Shocking kick back into play from Mackenzie, straight into the lap of Browning, who decides he can't score from there, but here's a man who can. Marcus Bayes.
He's been well guarded tonight by Motley.
He could kick this well and truly. Lovely kick. My word, he kicks the ball well. That's his first. And he makes amends for Kappa's miss. The Swans get their 7th as we tick into time on. And they've doubled Carlton's score to lead by 22 points.
Well, against Richmond last week, Bayes played very, very poorly for most of the game. Yet at the end of the game, he had 3 goals next to his name, mainly because of that magnificent kicking action. And anywhere between 50 and 60 metres out, he's going to be a danger.
Well, Kevin, he's been the best kick that I've seen this year for goal. He kicked a couple of miraculous right-foot goals against the West Coast Eagles, who's really been absolutely perfect.
And against Collingwood too.
And from any distance, he really is a very improved player, very dangerous, and Healy out wide. Reece Jones down. Gleeson after it. Bradley in all sorts of trouble. Williams goes down and was legged just a little. No, Bradley gets a free kick before Williams went down. Bradley wheels into action. Kernahan comes out, up goes Sartori, and almost took a good one. Kernahan a snap for goal is just off direction, over Silvani's head, through for 1 behind, and Stephen Kernahan, the captain, has kicked 4 behinds.
The margin 21 points, 9 scoring shots the Swans, 8 to Carlton. Neil Cordy, who's on Silvani, out to half-back. Holden has to go backwards, but effectively. Mitchell, who's kicked 1. Gets himself into a bit of trouble, but out of it to Bolton. Well done. Well played, Bolton. Loves using that left boot. Henwood from behind Dorotich, who's beating him so far and does well this time to take the mark despite plenty of opposition. Off to Dean, and from almost on the wing, he puts Carlton into attack. 2 against 1 in the Swans' favour in the air, and they always seem to have the numbers at ground level. Holden well tackled by Murphy, but still Swans there in support. Browning unloads long with the left boot. Dean a flyer and a beauty over Tony Morwood, and came down well balanced to play on to Silvani, who's late on the scene. Not much there again at ground level for the Blues. Murphy well played. That's Murphy for the Swans. Now Mitchell, his look-alike. And the Swans look dangerous. Dennis Carroll storming into attack and kicking very long and kicking into the goal post. A poster. Magnificent effort from the captain off half-back. And the Swans lead by 22 points.
Well, you don't see any more aggressive runs than that by Dennis Carroll. He palmed Alvin off with great strength. Brilliant football. Ironmonger and Madden over the back. Well played, Madden. Gives the run downfield for Bradley. A little short, Gleeson, a little short one. Lost by Sartori. Kick off the ground is missed by Gleeson. Sartori picks up quickly out to the dangerous left boot of Wayne Johnston. Johnson down and in the teeth of goal. Kernahan a beauty. Absolutely outmanoeuvred and outstrengthed the very unhappy Rod Carter. And when he's unhappy, he looks very nasty and mean, but that was a sensational catch.
And Bernie Evans is on the ground and Murphy is off.
And you've got to be strong to outstrength Carter, but Kernahan did it.
Well, he's kicked 4 behind so far, Tim. Actually, he's been playing very, very well, Kernahan, and Carter has really struggled to hold him, so this really should be Kernahan's first goal. It's a beautiful kick.
No doubt about that. Piercing the uprights in Carlton's 4th, and the first quarter promising a lot and certainly delivering, as Carter, I think quite sensibly, is working on the Carlton captain as only Carter can. He's a great niggler. He knows how to upset players, and if he could upset Kernahan, he's certainly away to a pretty good start. But no doubt who took the honours then? Kernahan with great strength and a good one-hander.
They've actually switched their key forwards. Sartori started on Carter very early in the game, and Kernahan at centre-half forward, but they've very quickly moved Kernahan down into the goal square, mainly because I think of his great marking strength.
Neil Cordy's going to have a battle up against Silvani too. Neil's really half-back flanker build, ideally. Ironmonger's been dominant on centre bounces, wins another one. Picked up by Johnston. Johnson out wide. Running with it Murphy, with it Bradley. Oh, Evans is on the ground, 3rd try. Evans downfield, short one's not a good one. Stephen Wright takes yet another mark, about centre-half back. Played well all over the ground. Looks to kick it wide and kicks to Bolton. Bolton's on Reece Jones. They've already had some fierce clashes. Down it goes. Henwood in front and Dorotich high above him. Dean, look out Glasgow, cleverly to Reece Jones. Reece Jones' short one is wonderful football. taken out there by Dennis, who's taken a couple of excellent marks.
Just forward of the wing to half forward. And with one hand, Satori not looking like it. Evans, the tackle from behind, is a very poor one. He's been in the play twice since coming on, and each time he's done it badly. The first a very poor kick and now a bad tackle. Carroll up to the wing. Oh, Dorotic supreme with the spoil. He's really doing well at half-back. Gleeson under a lot of pressure. Didn't take it over the line. Now Bolton out of trouble. Well tackled by Rhys Jones. Potter well tackled too, and the kick is a bad one, but good smothering Tony Morwood on the Madden hand pass. Morwood to half forward. Out on the full. Carlton free kick to be taken by Meldrum on the half-back flank.
And Robert Walls has moved Elvin off Morwood, and now he's put Peter Dean onto him.
Across it comes from Glasgow back to Meldrum. Meldrum down to the half-back line. Sartori, good leap and a fine spoil from behind. Kicking off the ground is Tui and goes again. Strength and purpose there. Chance now for Mackenzie. A long kick up by Dean, a hand pass by Dean to Alvin. Alvin will give it out to Kennedy, and Browning takes it. Didn't hold it long enough. Bad luck, Mark Browning. Or has the umpire paid a free kick? And he has. And it's going to go to Murphy. But Browning intercepted beautifully, but just couldn't take it on second bite, and Murphy the free kick.
15 metres brings him to the wing. The quarter is 31 minutes old. Up to Kappa, but there's the siren. It's quarter time. And at the first change, it's the Swans by 16 points. Their goal kickers, Tony Moore with 2. Wright has 2. Singles to Mitchell, Potter and Bays. The Carlton singles to Silvani, Kernahan, Johnston and Bradley. It's the Swans 7-3-45, Carlton 4-5-29 at quarter time at the SCG.
"7:30 Saturday, an Australian adventurer goes to the frozen end of the planet. Dick Smith attempts the first solo flight to the North Pole by helicopter. A journey of magnificent spectacle and considerable risk.
You can see there's absolutely no horizon there at all. Now this is what they call whiteout conditions, where I'm virtually on instruments. My gyro has frozen up. The magnetic compass is totally useless. Minus 37 degrees centigrade.
Adventure over ice, the perils and the grandeur. Solo to the top of the world. Saturday at 7:30, straight after the news.
So a tremendous first quarter, ending with the Swans 16-point leaders, and Kevin, I think fair to say that they deserve just about that margin.
A magnificent start, Tim, by the Sydney Swans. 6 goals in the first 16 minutes, but full marks to Carlton because they did play better towards the end of that quarter. Certainly Bradley and Williams are having a great competition in the centre. Dorotic is pretty strong at centre-half back for the Blues, but it's around the ground where Wright is playing magnificently well. Morwood on the forward line. He's already had a different opponent. He's had Elvin taken off him. Dean's now on him with 2 goals. He's been a very key player up there. Also Stevie Wright, Williams and Bolton, who's having a great duel on the wing with David Rhys-Jones. A lot of heavy clashes there, Doug, and you've called it a couple of times.
Yes, and I think winning it too, Kev. I think Bolton's done it. He's bolted away a few times with that astonishing pace that he's got. The other man I think has done a wonderful job is John Ironmonger. We've tended to look on the big fellow as largely just a big fellow who's strong, and that's why he's there. But he's got nearly every centre bounce, and he's helped Rod Carter tremendously in the back line. Time and time again, when it looks like Kernahan might take big marks over them, or Silvani, there's been the huge frame of Ironmonger giving Carter or some other South Melbourne, some other Swans support. And a lot of credit to him because he's worked very hard over the summer period.
I think it's been the running players of the Swans, because you mentioned before about all the Swans players being at the foot of the pack, and that's the way Tom Hafey coaches. He really does ask his players to punch the ball strongly to the pack, and every Swans player knows that if a Swans player is caught from behind, he will punch the ball very, very hard to the front of the pack, if not towards the boundary line. So they swarm in, they know where the ball is going. So far it's the Swans' little players who have played well. I mentioned Dorotic before. Henwood is falling down at centre-half forward. He's a bit of a problem there. And Kappa is being well held by Mackenzie. And Mackenzie's a new fella to full back, but tonight he's doing a good job. And even Madden is pushing himself to get down in that goal square, because Kappa is a big problem for the Carlton team.
The Blues are looking a bit top-heavy, Kev?
Well, they've got some big guys on that forward line. Dennis has taken the odd mark or two, but so far hasn't done a great deal. Satori's a little bit of a disappointment to me. Satori last year had the most marks in Australia playing at centre-half forward for Swan Districts. over there in Perth. But here in Victoria has really struggled to take those marks against the bigger defenders, and he started off at well, the forward pocket on Carter, but Robert Walls quickly made that move and put him down towards centre half forward, and Kernahan into the square with 1 goal and 4 behinds. Kernahan, to me, looks to be the danger.
It's a new look Carlton forward line. In fact, I think like the Swans, they used to get their goals just from weight of numbers bringing the ball down the ground, and there used to be a big spread of goals. But this year it seems that they do have quite a high-marking forward line, and their approach to goal just looks a little bit different to me. There are the quarter-time scores. The Swans 7-3-45, Carlton 4-5-29, just repeating the goal kickers in that first term. 2 to Tony Morwood, 2 to Steve Wright, singles to Mitchell, Potter and Bays for the Swans, and all single goal kickers for Carlton: Silvani, Kernahan, Johnston and Bradley. And here are how some of the goals were kicked in the first quarter. Barry Mitchell off the ground, and that was Steve Wright's first.
Well, Stevie Wright and Barry Mitchell have been very, very good players. We see Carroll there quickly kicking that ball out of defence. Carroll's coming back from a knee injury, quite hasn't recovered yet, but Dorotich very strong against Henry. And there's Rhys Jones crashing into the Swans player there. That caused a bit of a wrestle, but we see Tony Morwood pull to the ground. A long kick into the square. Now this resulted in a goal here, and Alvin was moved off Morwood after that goal. He was far too loose. Ironmonger punching strongly from behind, and that's what the Swans players will do. Then they break up their running game with Healy and Williams and Mitchell bringing the ball down. Browning's been a very, very good player, and there's Mitchell with that long shot at goal, and that's another Tommy Hafey trait, and that is to get the players to kick very, very long. We see Bradley there, a beautiful disposal by Bradley, kicks it high, and Silvani tapped the ball and ran in for an easy goal here. And Silvani has looked quite good down on the forward line, but simply Carlton haven't been able to get the ball down there quick enough.
There are the statistics. Carlton ahead on kicks, but the Swans ahead on handballs. So the total possessions, 77 to the Swans, 74 to Carlton. Marks just about even, kicks dead level. And the Swans ahead on scoring shots, although that's not quite right. It should be 10 to the Swans, 9 to Carlton, and hit-outs just about even, so not much in it statistically.
Handballs are interesting, Tim, because throughout the season the Swans have averaged about 40 hand passes more than Carlton, so that's falling much into the traditional pattern, I guess.
Well, Tom Hafey, with that running game, Doug, there's a lot of players coming down in waves. You've always got Bolton, you've always got Williams in there, and you've got Browning coming off the half-back line, and Holden and Roberts when he's playing. So their whole style of game is set up for this running game, coming off defence. And the idea, of course, is to have the boy with the ball having plenty of time to get his disposal in down towards Kappa.
You're sounding like Tom Hafey calling them boys, Kev.
Well, I suppose I've been around him for a long time.
They're looking a very good kicking side too, Kev. Bays is a perfect kick. Browning, of course, we know of yesteryear what a great kick. Tony Morwood's very accurate. Kappa's probably the only one on that forward line who's not capable of really kicking long goals. Stephen Wright's an excellent kick.
Well, Bays is probably the best kick in league football, and tonight he's been fairly well covered in that first quarter by Motley. It was that magnificent 50-metre goal that really set Bays up with that good goal in the first quarter.
Did a couple of nice smothers early, Bays.
He did make some good smothers, and but Carlton, I thought Wayne Johnson also looked to be a bit damaging. I think if Carlton can get their running players around the ground, Glasgott's playing on Healy, he's doing a tagging role, but he's not really generating anything. Gleeson is roving, but Gleeson is not really at the foot of the pack. He's not really generating any forward moves, and it's really coming, say, from Bradley in the centre, Johnston playing on the half-forward flank, and getting the ball down there, but it's not really coming down quickly enough.
Maybe Ironmonger's giving them a big lift, getting the ball out, helping them to get the ball out of the centre quickly, the Swans.
It's the best I've seen Ironmonger ruck for a while. John Ironmonger often doesn't get his hands to the ball enough for a guy of his size, but playing against Madden, who's not physically strong compared to Ironmonger, who's a giant of a man, it may suit Ironmonger tonight, but sometimes he tires as the match goes on.
Okay, second term about to get under.